What it do, guys? It's D'Anthony here, man, aka Hoodscout, back again for another edition of the Hoodscout podcast. And this is really a unique podcast, a podcast like no other. We're going to have athletes, we're going to have coaches, we're going to have intellectuals, we're going to have media members of all sorts. And don't forget, guys, to like this podcast, share this podcast, and help grow this podcast. This is not just my podcast. This is also your podcast. And the only reason it's going to grow is because you guys are going to be invested in it, guys. Sit back, get your beverage of choice ready, get your popcorn ready, get your dinner ready, get your steak ready, get your vegan meal ready. Tune in, guys. Hoodscout. Peace. Hey, what it do, man? Hoodscout back again for another really quick intro. This one was a very exciting podcast. Coach Jody Owens was the head coach at, not head coach, excuse me, who is the one of the assistants now with the Carolina Panthers. Played linebacker at Montana State, originally from Mesquite, Texas, in the Dallas area. A guy that was also the co-defensive coordinator at Pittsburgh State. Just really rising through the ranks. Came under Chris Peterson at University of Washington. A guy that is only 31 years old. 31 years old. Now with the NFL. He's going to take it as far as he can take it. He's a great worker, very educated young man, and a young man that I was excited to talk to at this stage of his journey, just starting with the Carolina Panthers, because he's a young man that you will hear his name in the future, guys. Like I always say, guys, please continue to donate. And I just don't say this. When you hear this, guys, you got a little bit to give. And let's keep this thing going. Let's keep this thing prospering and getting better. And, it's going to keep going up as we continue to get more and more guests. This guest is a man of faith. It's a man I had the honor to interview. And without further ado, man, we're going to get right to it. Signing out. Peace.
And so you gotta really be a humble person and know that it's not about you, and know that you're there to serve the student athletes. And if you do that, you'll continue to climb and grow.
What is the motivation to keep going as a coach? Like, whether it's to keep getting that degree or what's the motivation? Is it just I want to move up in the profession? Is it pay? What's that internal? What's that internally like?
Just the drive to be the best.
Okay.
I want to be the best in anything that I do. I want to be distinguished from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's how do I get the slight edge over, everybody else? How do I get my players to want to play for me? How do I connect with them in a way that they, are willing to do what I'm asking them to do and develop to the best people that they can be and the best athletes they can be? It's a burning desire that was given to me by the Lord to just really just hone in and just hey, let's make this thing happen. Let's be the best that we can be and see how far we can take this thing. And so, I wake up every day with a burning passion of how can I get better first and foremost, and then how can I, be a light to my guys so that they can get better and they can see the Lord through me and want to, do great things.
Okay, Coach. So let's see, we're 25 minutes in. Now, what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to edit the podcast. I think we're going to start right when we start talking about your coaching, and I'll give a little walkthrough because I like this part, especially. So, Coach, what was that next stop after you said Montana State, right?
Yep.
You got to let go with the coaching staff. Walk me through that next step.
Yep. So I was at Nevada, Reno for a year.
Nevada, yeah.
Yep. We got let go there. So my first two jobs,
Let me stop you, Coach. How are you handling this? I don't want to say defeat in a literal sense, but how are you handling these firings mentally?
So I think it was good that it happened early in my career. It showed me, when I got fired from my alma mater, I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
dude, I was All-American here. I was just being praised, and now you guys saying you don't want me. But it was more than about me. It enlightened me to the profession and the business that I was getting myself into. So it really exposed me of the risk that you take being a college coach, that you can't get let go, and you can't take it personal. It's not saying that you're a bad coach or anything like that. It's saying that it's time for a change. And with change, whoever's that next guy, they have a choice to retain you, keep you around or not. And so from Montana State's perspective, the coach who was there, he did not keep me around, and I get that he had to do what's best for the program. And actually, when I went to Nevada Reno, Coach Jay Norvell, who's at Colorado State, and today's his birthday. Actually, I just reached out to him. He definitely kept me around as a graduate assistant, but ended up getting a bigger opportunity from there to go to the University of Washington up in Seattle. So I ended up leaving UNR after a year and a half and went up to University of Washington up in Seattle. And I can tell you that's where I learned my most ball at. It was a great experience.
So, Coach, I think you're a very humble guy. You know what I'm saying? Because you're still so young, but you're rising, Coach. Is it easy to maintain that humility?
I mean, you got to be surrounded by the right people. I think my wife, she keeps me humble. She'll tell me what I'm not doing right fast. So she has no issues with that. I know my mom, she keeps me humble as well. My grandfather keeps me humble. Being in the Word keeps me humble. Then I have a lot of friends that, keep me humble and let me know that the job is not finished.
Yeah.
Not close. So, I have a lot of people that surround me that, I know I haven't made it, man. It's just the beginning. I'm always striving to get better. I have a lot of great mentors that put me in check when I need it, because, it's easy to have an ego. And I think your ego can get you in trouble a lot of times. It's the gift and the curse. It can separate you, but at the same time, it can make you do some things that you probably shouldn't do.
Good point. 28 minutes in, Coach. I got a few more questions, so we're gonna keep this thing going if we can.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Washington, Coach. What you say? I learned the most, or what did you learn there? And let's dive into that a little bit as we continue to go up from your coaching journey.
Yep. So up in Seattle, man, I learned how to actually teach and to coach and have a progression. I learned under Chris Peterson.
Oh, that's big time.
Yeah, one of the best coaches to ever pick up a whistle. I learned about organization and how you got to have your meetings structured and, and just that progression of teaching. I learned under Jimmy Lake, who's the head coach out there. I learned under Pete Kwiatkowski, who's the defensive coordinator at the University of Texas. And so it was tremendous amount of guys that I learned under at the University of Washington. Bob Gregory, who was a linebacker coach there. I believe he's at Oregon now. I mean, just a lot of great teachers and great men that really led by an example. And I wore them out with questions. And, they put a lot on me to figure out myself. And so, I just being around those guys every day, it really showed me how to teach and how to look at things from a schematic standpoint and how to connect with your players and team chemistry and how to build players up, build confidence. And so they really kind of put everything together for me. I got bits and pieces along my way up until that point, but those guys helped really solidify to me what it looks like to be a coach, to develop players and allow me to ask the right questions and kind of set sail to what I'm able to do, moving forward. So I owe those guys probably a lot. I coached in the Fiesta Bowl, coached in the Rose Bowl.
Wow.
So
hold on, we gotta chop a little bit. So, give me 1 second. Let me ask you this: what was the college football? You're in the Pac-12,
Yep.
Pac-12 at that time. What is the process like? Meaning the meetings. Do you guys have meetings 3 times a week? Like, how's the meetings and how's the? I mean, you can't get right everything, but I'm saying, how's that inner workings at that level? Because that's a big time conference ball.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot. You got a lot that you're trying to do, as far as like you said, the meetings and
How often are they?
Say that again.
How often are they?
So you definitely got meetings every day. You get one day off that you can get with the players, and so from there, besides that, you're doing a lot of meeting and you're doing a lot of game planning and a lot of just different things, character building with the guys, and so it's a lot that goes into it, and then the coaches, you're recruiting constantly. You're bringing guys in and trying to make the next class the best class, and just trying to stay on top of the guys and build relationships. So it's a never-ending thing, college football, for sure. As a coach, you never really have time off.
Yeah. You still good, coach?
Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay. Coach, what is, and I meant to ask you this a while ago, but it's good I can ask that. What is like this like another funny question, but we're getting inner workings. What is the food culture like in these cities? Do cities kind of have similar food tastes, or in different cities is there different cuisines? So you're in Seattle, which is that Washington area, which is kind of popular. Like, what you guys eat, man?
Yeah. So I mean, it's so you're in the Pacific Northwest, so fish.
Yeah.
A lot of people, fish is huge out there. Coffee is really big. Starbucks was founded out in Seattle. So I would say, you got the seafood, the different chowders and stuff like that. So a very diverse population up in Seattle. So I enjoyed that. That was great. Being around different cultures. And so you got a little bit of everything. You got some soul food out there. You got a little bit of everything. So I enjoy Seattle, besides it being super expensive.
Yeah, that is one of the most expensive places. So what was that next step after Washington, coach? I mean, you've been at Montana State, you've been at Nevada, you've been at Washington, so I'm sure you have the confidence is also building as far as your knowledge of the game and everything else is building. What was that next step after that?
So it's probably be a surprise for a lot of people, but I ended up going to an NAIA program called Briarcliff in Sioux City, Iowa. They gave me the opportunity to be the defensive coordinator there. And, during that time, kind of getting back to Seattle, I had my son in Seattle. And so it was time for me to make some money. It was super expensive. So it was no longer about me. And, I got the opportunity to go to Briarcliff NAIA program in Sioux City, Iowa. They gave me the opportunity. I flew down there and checked it out. Didn't have the facilities that I was just, around or anything like that. But what they did have, they had young men that really cared about football, that really love what they do. So I checked it out and I said, I can make these guys take the next step. I can help them take the next step. And so I became a defensive coordinator there for a year. Enjoyed my time there with them. Really poured a lot into those guys. And so, we did a lot of big time things. We had a couple shutouts, first time in school history. Had their first All-American in football, one of the outside linebackers. So, it was great. It was a great learning experience. I was able to put everything together from a defensive coordinator perspective. And it was up to me. Like, if things weren't going right, coach, what are we going to do? What's the answer? So I enjoyed that. It was great. I lived up to the challenge, and that's what it's all about, growth.
What part of Iowa did you say this was in, coach?
Sioux City, Iowa. It's Sioux City. It's like right on the border of Iowa and Nebraska. So middle of nowhere, middle of America.
How did you go about learning as a defensive coordinator at that time? I mean, young guy. What was your ways of learning at that particular time?
Well, I had, learned through my experiences at, University of Washington. So I took really detailed notes while I was there. I wrote everything down. I know Coach Chris Peterson, he put it into our brains, like writing things down crystallizes your thinking. And so, you're able to retain a lot more when you write things down. So I would date everything that I would do, everything we were talking about, I would write it down. So when I was running the show myself, I could always go back to those notes. Okay, how did we install this? What was the progression of that install? Why are we installing this? What's giving us issues? What are the answers to those issues? And so that helped train me from a schematic standpoint of, okay, what defense am I running? What are teams going to try to do to attack it? Now, what are my answers that I have if they're doing X, Y, and Z? And it allowed me to be able to think, further and further ahead. So, again, my experience that I had before had already prepped me because I was in the moment. I asked the right questions. So I kind of had a good idea on how I was going to be attacked and, how to build my players up in a way that they can go out and execute at a high level.
Let me ask you this, coach, because you was around Coach Peterson, who was a really good Hall of Fame type coach. Give me some nuggets that coach may have given you
For one, writing things down crystallizes your thinking. Just the culture. What does culture look like? I know it's a phrase that a lot of people throw around, but the way Coach Peterson, he emphasized it on a daily basis. It wasn't just words. He put actions behind it, and really just gave you things to think about. He challenged the way you think. And you know, he always had a book that he recommended to help you grow, and just really there's little nuggets that he'll give you no matter where you're at to help you take that next step in your development. He was really great at growing people around him so that they can be the best version of themselves. So ultimately, if everybody's growing, everybody's getting better, the product is going to speak for itself. So he really, you know, showed me how to cultivate the student athletes and really help them take those next steps while he poured into us as coaches.
That's really good. That's really good because I think that, you know, there was kind of a saying, leaders create other leaders, you know, not followers. So I think that's very powerful. So you run the show down there in Iowa for a little bit. Defensive coordinator, walk me through that next step when you leave there.
Yep. So then from there, I ended up going to Pittsburgh State.
Okay, now.
Yeah, which is the all-time winningest Division II program. Unbelievable facilities. Just and I went there with a guy by the name of Brian Wright. He was my offensive coordinator back at Montana State. So he coached me back when I was playing, and he had the opportunity to be the head coach at Pittsburgh State. And he gave me a call and told me would it be something that I would be interested in coming out. You know, it was about 6 hours closer. So it was 6 hours south of where I was at in Sioux City, Iowa. But it was 6 hours away from Dallas. He told me I could recruit Dallas, which is something that's like, yeah, that's what I'm all about. I was able to recruit my home. I was a co-defensive coordinator. I had an unbelievable linebacker group. Really feel like those guys are best in the nation. And so it was an unbelievable opportunity for me to go down to Pittsburgh State and you know, help coach those guys up. The past couple years, that's kind of where I've been the past 2 years, and you know, unbelievable people that I've been around, unbelievable support, and most importantly, the student athletes I worked with, they were great. You know, they are high achievers. We brought back the first All-American in close to 10 years this past year, so you know, it was definitely exciting.
Let me ask you this, Coach, before we really get on Pittsburgh State. What's the mindset of moving a lot? I know if you're a coach, you know, it's like certain professions, I think military, but I know coaching for sure, you gotta, you know, you're moving.
Yeah.
Like, what's the mindset of that? Because I mean, you guys move like it ain't nothing, but to a person that don't move, that seems like it could be a bit much. Do you just get used to it or what?
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, me going off to Montana State, it kind of set me up to feel comfortable being uncomfortable in a sense. It's like, it's another opportunity to, you know, to grow, to reach different people, and to ultimately do the work that the Lord have for you to do. So it comes with its challenges, not saying that, you know, because it's definitely a challenge in every move, every stop, you know, getting settled. But I think it's a part of growth. I think it's a part of life of being able to feel comfortable in change. Like, things are constantly changing around us. And so I think just in my profession, that's something that comes along with it.
So you're at Pittsburgh State, Coach. How is, I mean, you're at Pitt State. What do you sell a kid on coming there? You know, little bit farther away, you know, not too far, but a little bit far. What's your recruiting pitch, you know?
Yeah, so we actually recruited DFW pretty well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's why I'm asking that. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we got some gems out of there. But it's, do you want to win?
Okay.
Yeah. They want to win. Do you want to have big time facilities? Yeah. And so that kind of gets it started. You know, that gets kids intrigued. Everybody wants to be a part of winning. Everybody wants to have the nice facilities, the big time locker room. And it's a lot of support at Pittsburgh State. So I think that really caught the eye of a lot of student athletes, and you have really good academics as well. I think the tradition. So it's fairly easy to sell from that perspective, of all those things, the tradition, the culture that's been put in place, and when you come here, the town is very supportive. It's only one Gorilla Nation
Yep.
in college football, and so it really separates itself. So when you come here and you visit some of the other places, you're like, okay, I see the difference between the two,
Mm-hmm.
especially at the Division II level.
So, let me see, we're about 42 minutes into the Hoodscout podcast. Coach Jody Owens, who was at this time was co-defensive coordinator at Pittsburgh State, we're talking about now. How was it, Coach? Who were some of those leaders, some of those captain guys for you? And kind of give them a little recognition, and who were on your coaching staff as well?
Yeah, so as far as the players, we had our captain, Caden Roy. He was a big-time player for us. He's trying to make that next jump to the NFL. We have Dallas Flowers, who's a big-time cornerback who will get drafted, I'm sure, coming up in the NFL draft. Unbelievable stud athlete. And I have, 4 or 5 guys from the linebacker core that's fairly young right now that'll be those NFL type players that's, coming out. So there's Jalen Martin, play receiver for us. He'll have an opportunity, hopefully, to play in the NFL as well. So we had some really good players that helped us. We ended up finishing 8-3 this past year, so it was a good first full season for coaching staff. The head coach Brian Wright, just an unbelievable person, unbelievable mentor of mine, and then you have a lot of good young coaches that are here as well. Uka Esang, he'll be recruiting the Dallas area here coming up for Pitt State. He's from Arlington, so there'll be some carryover going on.
Coach, where did you I almost lost my train of thinking. I would ask you something to what you were just saying about the players. Anyway, it escaped me, so let's continue.
Yeah.
So you're there, Coach. You're still climbing through the ranks. Walk me through that next call. I mean, I was, when I see it on your timeline on social media, I was like, wow. Walk me through that a little bit.
Well, so leading up to kind of where I'm at now, I've done a couple internships with Kansas City Chiefs.
Let me stop you, Coach. I'm sorry.
Yep.
That thought came back to me. Did you still learn the same way at Pitt State? Meaning you just relied on those old experiences, or did you have to kind of sharpen some new tools?
Yeah, so you're definitely always learning of what's working, what's not working. How do you tweak certain things to help you take the next step as a defense and as a leader of men. So you're trying to find new ways to teach. I think one of the biggest challenges is making your teachers interactive, because trying to hold somebody's attention span when you got this quick gratification that everybody's getting from social media. So it challenges you as a coach. How do I keep these guys engaged? How do I keep them interested in wanting to learn about football? So those are some of the things that you gotta figure out. You gotta do different techniques in order to keep them engaged, to help them be able to retain what you're teaching. So
okay, and I want to transition that back to what you're saying. You say you were doing some interns and stuff like that. Continue.
Yeah. So I did the Bill Walsh internship with the Kansas City Chiefs back in 2015. And so I met a guy by the name of Mark DeLeon. He was the linebackers coach there at that point in time. Just really stayed connected with him. He brought me back out in 2018 with the Chicago Bears. I was able to do their OTAs, so I spent a few more days with them, and just really him just seeing that I'm a hungry young coach that wants to really be successful, that wants to help mentor young men and help guys just take that next step. I always stayed in contact with him. And so he was telling me that, Coach Rule with the Carolina Panthers had a opportunity that was coming open, and asked would I be interested in it. And I'm like, yeah, of course, I definitely would be interested. And I think it was the day of the Super Bowl. I had got out of the shower and I had a missed call from a North Carolina number. and it was Coach Rule calling me and asking me, "Hey, Jody, what's going on, man? I heard a lot about you. I want to interview you." So it kind of took off from there. That next day, he put me on a Zoom call, interviewed me with him and the offensive coordinator, Coach McAdoo. And the next day after that, they flew me out, interview in person. The rest is history. So they wanted to, see if I could communicate effectively to them, talk football with them, and the rest kind of speaks for itself. And it's really, a testament of a lot of hard work, dedication, a lot of big time mentors that have poured into me that have given me the answers that that they're gonna ask, and the ability to feel confident through all the experiences that I have had, standing in front of a room, teaching, and making sure that it's concise and clear, and just being an effective communicator. So all those things, and then not only that, it's goal setting. So having goals and having daily actions of how do you reach those goals. And then from there, it's a lot of prayer. I know I'm constantly praying. My mom is constantly praying. Everybody in my family is constantly praying, and just really trying to be the best that we can be from a spiritual aspect, from a social aspect, from everything. I think life is about growth, and so this is just you starting to see like a tree blossom off of all the setbacks and all of that. And it's still not done yet. There'll be some more things that I have to figure out and have to navigate through. This is just the beginning here at, with the Carolina Panthers. So I'm fired up. It'll be a lot more room for growth. Like I said, I'm my first time coaching on the offensive side of the ball. So again, you can't run from a challenge. You got to run to it and say, here I am, and figure it out. And and then I think the best people are able to do that. So
now, Coach, now we go. We can't talk too much on it, but just want to eat a little bit at that. Now, Coach, when you're applying for a job like this, I'm sure there's a lot of candidates that coach can choose from, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's I just think that speaks to your work ethic and faith. That out of all these coaches, he heard about you and he brought you in. Kind of speak to that just a little bit.
Yeah, that's the Lord. The Lord put me there at the right time, and and then from there just has surrounded me with so many people that has really poured into me and helped me to be able to seize the moment when preparation opportunity meets. It's nice, like Nipsey say, it's real nice when that happens. And so when that happens, you got to be ready to kick that door down and make it happen, and let them know that you deserve to be there, and work your butt off from there.
A few minutes in, got a few more questions, and we're gonna wrap this one up. So, Coach, you're in the NFL now. I mean,
Yep.
We can actually say that it be true. Any nervous feelings, any anxious feelings? What are your goals as a coach now? What do you want to become as a coach? I mean, you're still a young guy, Coach, but what is it that you're trying to accomplish?
I just want to be the best version of myself. I think I'm more than good enough. I think it's human nature naturally to, you have all these lists of emotions, and I've experienced all these different emotions on my way to getting to where I'm at. Feel like you're good enough, feel like you're not good enough. You get anxious, you feel like, nobody recognizes my talent, or you feel like you're overlooked. So there's a whole list of emotions that you're going to go through. And, those still happen to this day. So it's remembering who I am. I know who I am. I know what I can bring to an organization, and I know what I'm about as a person. And so from there, it's just just staying true to myself and just doing what has got me here. Not trying to be nobody that I'm not. Being the same person that has got me here, and that's the guy that's gonna work hard, that's gonna learn, and that's gonna be that's gonna try to be the best version of itself on a daily basis. And I make mistakes, I'm gonna say, yeah, I could have done better. I'm gonna analyze it, I'm gonna revise it, and then I'm gonna come out the next day and I'm gonna give it everything I got. And I think if you do that consistently on a daily basis, everybody's gonna see you're gonna separate yourself. The player's gonna recognize that you're a little bit different than maybe some other people, and then just continue to pray. It'll all work out.
Coach, you're 31 years old. You said that right earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, I mean, you're still a young coach who is rising. What is it that you want to be? Like, do you want to be a DC? Do you want to be an OC? Do you want to be a head coach? What? Because, Coach, you're still young in this thing, but you're also growing in this thing.
Yeah. So believe it or not, man, I applied to be the head coach at Mesquite Horn, my alma mater.
No,
Yeah,
you didn't, bro.
yeah. This past time, they didn't even give me an interview. So it and it's
I'm
all
not gonna
good.
say nothing on that,
Yeah,
but that's interesting.
yeah. So from that perspective, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. The screen froze just a little. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, I
Okay,
just
you
had
good?
a.
Can
Can
you
you
hear
hear
me?
me?
Yeah, we good.
Yep. So I
Wow.
had an opportunity to well that they didn't give me the opportunity to interview, but I think it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I just want to be the best version of myself. I would like to just continue to learn. I just continue to grow, and just see what happens. I want to take this thing as far as I can. From an NFL perspective, I want to be a position coach, coordinate, and then head coach. My ultimate goal is to someday be at the University of Texas and be the head coach there. But I just got to do the best job I can with the Carolina Panthers, and just pour into this organization and learn and connect and be the best version of myself. And that progression of position coach, coordinator to head coach, at some point in time, it is going to happen. So just with consistency, I really believe of prophecy is speaking things to an existence,
Yeah,
and
I was
we'll
about
be
to
able
say
to
that
look
earlier.
back at this podcast
Yeah.
and say, "I told you so."
Yeah. I was thinking that. I say, yeah, speak it, put it in the air, man, because putting that university to come out. So,
Yeah, I
coach,
can't
how
hear
do
you. Kind of,
you
I'm
can't
not
hear me,
sure.
coach? Oh, I think we may have some more technical difficulties. Can't hear me. Can't hear me. Can't hear me. Let's see.
Yeah,
You can't hear me, coach?
yeah, it may be on my end. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
We good. I think we can cut it.
Okay.
Hey, thank
Well,
you for
sounds
coming on,
good,
coach.
man. I appreciate my time
Yep.
being on here.
Yep.
Man, it's all love. Whenever you want to do it again, let's reach out. Whenever I have time, shoot, reach out and we'll be able to connect from there.
That'll
Appreciate the
work, bro.
time.
Take care,
All
bro.
right.
Bye-bye. And that is Coach Jody Owens, man. It is a wrap, man. Hoodscout Podcast, Coach Jody Owens, not head coach, assistant for the Carolina Panthers, man. 31 years old. Take that guy's name down and remember him. We signing out, man. Take care. Hoodscout. Peace.